Well, hey there, I'm Dr. Tom Ulrich, and I like to talk about leadership in engineering. But we're mixing it up today, and I'm going to talk about my Breville 840XL Infuser. Hey, kind of excited about this coffee machine. The backstory is this. So, like in the first week of the COVID lockdown, I thought, you know what? I'm liking my espresso. I'm buying a machine. Did some research, watched a whole bunch of videos, and I chose this machine, and I absolutely love it. Now, the backstory is about 4 years ago, there was an advertisement in the church bulletin that said, "Hey, somebody gave us this big industrial grade espresso machine. We need some volunteers to run it. If you volunteer, we'll train you to be a barista." So I filled out the card, signed up, and it turns out one of our pastors, John Shadd, worked at Starbucks for like a decade. And so he was able to give me some pretty good training, and he's one of these real enthusiasts about coffee. You go in his office and he's got books on roasting coffee and making espresso, and he's just very excited. So, got some good training, and ever since then, I've been volunteering on Saturday nights at the Carlsbad campus of North Coast Church here in San Diego County, making espresso. And so I've got some experience, I've got some good training, and I've definitely got some opinions on what makes a good machine and what doesn't. And the long story short is, after a year of COVID lockdown, buying this machine was the best decision I made. And I kind of wanted to walk you through what I was thinking and why you might want to think about getting the same machine. All right, so as I said, I bought the Breville. So the Breville brand, that was a pretty much of a no-brainer just from talking to people and looking around. That's a quality brand. The real question came down to this. So some of the Brevilles come with these hoppers on the top that, you sort of like a funnel. You pour the beans in, and it's got a grinder built in, and so it's just very, very simple. Just put it in and get your beans. And so a lot of my friends bought those, but here's why I chose not to get it. So there was a couple considerations. The first one was, about half the espresso I make is decaf. So in the morning I have caffeinated. After about lunchtime I switch to decaf. And if you have a hopper, how's that going to work? You're going to scrape all the beans out. If you've ever tried to remove beans from a hopper, you realize you can't get them all. So because I do about half and half, having a hopper didn't make sense from that perspective. Now, another one, here's a picture of my setup, and you'll see there's a wooden cabinet right above my machine. And the question is, where would that hopper go? The hopper was just kind of an interference. And even if you could squeeze it in there, the idea is you have to take the lid off and pour the beans in. There's not clearance for that. Now, I thought about, you see, I got that coffee machine next to it. I could swap those, right? Then I have the clearance. But what do we know about the Mr. Coffee sort of coffee machines? Steam comes out from them. And if you put something that has steam underneath your wooden cabinet, you're going to have to replace your wooden cabinets in a couple of years. It'll ruin your cabinets. So, for my setup, the hopper didn't work. There's another thing here that's not as obvious as I did my research. I went to the Breville website. I watched a whole bunch of videos. And here's one thing I learned about the Infuser is it's one of the more recent models. And Breville updated their heating element. So they have a more efficient heating element, takes less time to heat up, it uses less energy, and so on. And some of those ones with the hoppers have the older heating elements. So if you do decide to get the one, the hopper, if that's right for you, I'd recommend you make sure you're getting the newest heating element. It's faster. In fact, the main difference between the industrial grade one I use at church and this one, really the only difference is the amount of time you have to wait for the steam to show up. The industrial grade, you turn the knob, steam is there. With these little ones, you turn the thing to go and you have to wait 10, 15, 20 seconds. And where the heating coil comes in is the better heating coil has less time. So maybe instead of waiting 30 seconds, you're waiting, 15 seconds, which, is it's not a big thing, but it's something you notice every time you use it. One final thing, I think I really like about the Infuser design is they put the heating coil right at the top. And if you look at the picture, you'll notice I have my clean cups right above it. And what the deal there is, that was very deliberate. They want you to put your cups there because as you're using the machine, it will heat up your cups. And so, if you have a cold cup, you pour coffee into it, it will cool down a little bit just because the cup's cold. And so it's kind of got this nice feature of it warms your cup up. Any rate, so that's why I chose the Breville 840XL infuser. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a few more videos. I'm going to kind of walk you through a lot of things, like what accessories might you want, how do you clean it, how do you make the coffees, how do you make a nice latte or a nice cappuccino, all these sort of things. How do you make a nice chai latte? Anyway, so stay tuned. I'll walk you through all those things. Probably about once a week, you'll see a video show up. Anyway, thanks for listening.